Good afternoon. My name is Marty Walters, and I come from Quincy in Plumas County. I'm an environmental scientist there. I've been an environmental scientist for 30 years. And somebody asked me before the meeting, are you really a scientist? And I said, yeah, I started out in waste management. You can't get more scientific than that, right? So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about, I often end up talking about environmental issues in this region. They are really important. I'm not going to talk about that this afternoon. I actually have a handout if you guys are interested over by my table over there. If you're interested in talking more about environmental after the meeting, I'd love to talk to you about that. But I'm a member of a large family. I have there's 8 siblings in my family, and my dad passed away back in the 90s, and my mom got remarried, so I've got another 3 siblings now with my stepdad. And my family has experienced just the whole range of different issues that relate to both older Americans, but also just people in this region generally. And that's what I want to talk a little bit to you about today, about some of the most challenging issues that we face and where I come from on those. And that has to do with healthcare, generally speaking, and we'll speak more about that. Housing and how housing works for people in this region. And third, the meaning of work and what does it mean when you can't make ends meet using your retirement or your Social Security, and the case that people are working so much more into their older years these days just to be able to pay the rent. So first on healthcare, when it comes to our system here in the U.S., we almost have a whole bunch of different healthcare systems trying to work together. We have a lot of older veterans in this country who are being cared for under the Veterans Administration, but also maybe Medicaid or Medi-Cal. Those programs are much more like a full system, right? Where the government's paying all the costs. But then a lot of us are under Medicare, and we have this fabulous Medicare program that has coverage for everyone for basic, basic health requirements and catastrophic health. But we also struggle sometimes to pay the premiums and the deductibles under Medicare, especially for folks in this region. And I think that's an area that we need to do a lot better on. In addition to eliminating caps on Social Security income, we need to also adjust our withholding on Medicare and Medi-Cal here in California so that we can start to collect a little bit more from our high income earners to offset those costs and to improve the long-term viability of those programs. So in addition to that, we have private insurance, and now we have Covered California. So we have a lot of systems all trying to work together. Under my platform, I really support a universal health program. And I also support comprehensive health programs. So universal meaning that all of us should have a basic access to health care. We all need to have that access. But comprehensive also that we need to be able to access that health care in our communities. We live in a region that's 99% rural, and we have a lot of places in this region where we don't have access to very good health care. You can't have a baby in Fall River Mills or even within 100 miles of Fall River Mills. You need to come to Redding, or you have to go up to Oregon or go to Reno often just to have a baby. And how are we going to have vital and healthy communities if we can't support families as they are seeking health care in those areas? So that's the second thing that I really feel strongly about healthcare, is that we have to support our facilities and our rural critical facilities and make sure that they're providing care, but not just that, but quality care for folks. So I'm going to turn now to the issue of housing and generally accessibility, and I mean that in 2 ways. One is the affordability of housing. We have a really critical problem in this region, which is that we don't have enough stock of housing that's at an affordable level. We have these 8A programs and people get vouchers for 8A housing. We have senior programs and senior housing, but we don't have enough of it. So we have so many people out there trying to make do on the market without getting help just because we don't have sufficient housing. And I know we have programs here in this community that are really working hard to make up for that. But we also have to do a lot with our housing stock to renew it and to make it accessible. One of the things we talked about before the meeting was that there's a House bill that Congressman LaMalfa supported and co-sponsored that would take away the fundamental enforcement aspects of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The ADA is critical, not just to seniors, but to anyone with disabilities in this country. And so we really need to support that both the ADA, the refreshing of our housing so that we can have people living in good housing, and also extending that to how we're accessing and dealing with our towns and our communities. We have a lot of old mining towns in this region, and we need to work on making those also more accessible and easier to both live in and work in. The third area I talked about briefly at the beginning was work and the meaning of work. We have a situation now where so many folks are having to work far into their older years when they might have expected to retire, and that that situation is critical. We have so many folks that I meet. I've been going around this region. I actually put 24,000 miles on my car, and I realized today that's the circumference of the Earth. So in a year of campaigning, I put the equivalent of the circumference of the Earth driving around this region and talking to people about what their big critical issues are. And one of the biggest issues is, how am I going to make do as an older person when I'm not really getting enough, I may not have access to a pension, so I'm supporting myself solely on Social Security. We have tons of people like that in our region, and Social Security wasn't really designed for that. So we need to do something with our safety net to provide a better cushioning for folks that are not being able to get by, don't have family that's supporting them. Same thing with disabled adults. It's the same concept. We have to do a much better job of supporting both the SDI program and the Social Security program to ensure that we're providing a much better safety net for our seniors and our disabled. And that's something that we can do by not only removing the cap on the program for income purposes, but also really making sure that we are restructuring the administrative side of this program to make it more effective for folks. And that means doing a better job of responding to cost of living increases, and doing a better job of responding to needs that people have specifically to, whether it's healthcare or SDI or even workers' comp that's coming up a lot now for older seniors that are working and get injured on the job. How much time do I have left?
30 seconds.
30 seconds, okay. So I'm going to wrap it all up. I guess I should check my thing and make sure I've talked to you guys about some of the things. Okay, so in summary, I've been fast talking at you guys for a few minutes. Fundamentally, we need to support people in this region for who we are today and who we are generally speaking. We're a little older than the rest of California. We're a little less affluent than the rest of California. And we're also a little less educated than the rest of California. And we need to have programs that really support that. I'm Marty Walters. Thank you.
Could you answer one of what you...
Oh, sure. I absolutely do not support that windfall exemption. It's not fair to people to lose all of that Social Security that they contributed to the system when they're on a different pension.
Thank you.
And teachers agree with you. All right.